Hi everyone and welcome back to the Weekly Phoenix. I'm Wynand, this is Charmaine and Arno, and we are Phoenix Paranormal. So recently we've had a lot of groups contacting us, just getting started, asking for some advice. So we thought we'd do a video, do a deep dive, get down to the nitty-gritties of what you might need if you are thinking about starting your own paranormal group. And then later on we'll answer some of your burning questions. Please like and subscribe this video if you haven't already done so. We really do appreciate it. Alright, let's get into it.
Back to the second vlog of the Weekly Phoenix. My name's Arno, and you already know Wynand and Charmaine. Today we celebrate, or not today, that was this week, our 10,000 likes on Facebook. Guys, thank you a million times. Thank you for supporting us and for just being who you are and following us. It's been an incredible journey. We talked about it last time. So thank you once again for 10,000 subscribers. Thank God, edit this big company. 10,000
followers.
Likes.
Likes on Facebook. Now YouTube subscribers, but we'll get there. The community is growing on YouTube and all the other platforms as well.
Alright, so let's get started. You guys want to shoot with the questions?
Yeah. Some people, I think a couple of guys asked us some questions on last week's vlog, so we're going to try and answer to the best of our abilities. So, do you want to kick off, or must I start with the questions I have?
You can start.
Okay, so I've got basically two questions in one from Jaco Snoek. Jaco Snoek, dankie dat jy ons volg, Jaco. He says, apologies as life happens, so I had to pop out. Question, what is your take on the Estes method? This is the first part of the question. What is your take on the Estes method and the God helmet? So, guys, I'll be honest enough to all the Facebook and YouTube fans out there. I had to Google the Estes method and the God helmet because it's not terms that I think here in South Africa we're a bit behind on the technology and all of that. And I was actually surprised because we already have a SPF 7 or Ghost Box, Spirit Box. You guys seen this being used a couple of times. I know Wynand and Charm are the masters of the Spirit Box. But the Estes method is basically a method that was started overseas by another paranormal group, and what they basically did was, the whole principle behind it is that you put on the SPF 7 and one investigator gets chosen. So that investigator is the channel or the medium of the Spirit Box. So they put in headphones, and then to take the experiment further, what they did was they blindfolded the guy. So you completely isolate yourself from any visual stimulants, as well as audio stimulants. So they put on head cancellation headphones as well as a blindfold, and then the other investigators asked the questions. So whatever came through that single person without any influence from the outside media.
Okay.
And I think there's validity in the question or in the method, because a lot of the times when we use the SPF 7, I mean, now for example, Wynand will ask a question, what is your name? And everyone is focused on listening out for a name. So the first name you maybe hear on the SPF 7, you're automatically going to use that. So it's not a method that, I mean, no method of this, none method, because English is delicious to we haven't used the method or the God helmet before. So this is actually new. The method is new, not the technology. We've used a Spirit Box quite a couple of times, but using it in this method is actually quite interesting. It's an interesting read, but it's something definitely that I think we're open for. I mean, we're always open for trying new methods and trying new technologies. I think the biggest thing for me personally is validate. So now obviously we have to, how can I put it, we'll have to record that information in a special way, because we can't, on the one side it's obviously for us to determine whether a place is haunted or not, but on the other side it's to capture proof to say whether it is haunted or not. So
I get
we need
what
to
you're
capture
saying.
the medium that we can actually translate over That's why we don't use any headsets. We've used headsets before. I know, Brian, that you've used it quite a lot. And that's the essential of the Estes method. So we have used it before, but because of the fact that we don't have another medium of recording except for outside video, we haven't literally continued. But it's definitely something I think we can explore. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, you have to be very careful using the Spirit Box, just in the sense that it catches a lot of radio frequencies. So words and sentences will pop through, and it can confuse your investigation. So as soon as you put it on and you start hearing frequencies coming through, I think that's a clear indication that it's not going to work.
Yeah.
If you're in an environment where there's just static coming through, then you might have a chance of catching something. I do find it, it's not always very reliable. It's not always relevant to the kind of clues that you're picking up. I think that's why we don't use the apps. We've tested them, and there's no coherent
science behind it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the biggest thing for me. You guys know how I feel about the SPF7, and I'll say personally as well. I'm not a fan of the SPF7 specifically for the fact of what Wynand mentioned now. And just to give people just a quick breakdown of what you mentioned now, it literally scans through frequency. So if you think of a car radio, you will scan through the car radio. So let's take all trusted Jacaranda FM in Pretoria, there's 94.2. So that will scan for 94.025, 94.05, 94 or 01, 94.1.25. So it scans frequencies like that. So in a bigger sense, you get like a wide range of frequencies. That's the same radio station. And especially here in South Africa, we've got so many radio stations everywhere that you can't get bombardment of different radio channels. And I think you will always, if you go on that principle alone, you will always find someone saying something that's going to be somewhat relevant to the question you asked. Or what are you doing?
It's open for your interpretation. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm not a big fan of the Spirit Box as well. But that is the Estes method.
Excellent.
All right, what's our next question?
The second part of that question.
Oh, the God helmet.
Sorry.
I have to say though, when I read up about this God helmet thing, I don't know, it just eek to me. I would never put that thing on my head ever.
Why not?
I'm
Please enlighten us. What is the God helmet?
I'm going to put this in basic terms. There's a whole Wikipedia entry about this. I think we can put it up as well. The other name for it is the Coron octopus or the Coron helmet. Essentially what it is, Sham, is you take electrodes, like brain electrodes, and connect that to your brain and pump through EMF directly into your brain.
Excuse me.
For some other reason, people say that you're going to have a
seizure
paranormal experience. Or a supernatural divine experience. But
no ways.
Again with that, and I know I'm probably rambling on about this, but EMF poisoning, I'm not sure if anyone heard about that before, but let's talk about that quickly. I have mentioned that a couple of times. EMF is electromagnetic fields. High EMF can cause paranoia, it can cause vomiting, it can cause feeling of being paranoid, and can cause you to hallucinate and hear things and see things. It's not healthy. So now you're pumping unhealthy magnetic fields.
Just to experience something.
It's like it's a two lobes are like overlapping, and that's why you're experiencing delusional experiences.
And how valid will that be?
Well,
at the end of the day,
the pictures on Google, it's like a football helmet.
I didn't read up, but I only saw that. I'm like, what?
Like a 1970 football helmet with these wires coming in. I'm never putting that on my head, ever.
I think the best thing for me about this, if we need to take something away, and again, guys, this is just our opinion, please.
Always just our opinion.
I love the science behind it. I love the fact that someone's trying to scientifically prove something or scientifically take technology and improve the fact that you can either experience something or capture something. But in this sense, it just sounds very unhealthy to me. I'm not a neuroscientist or a
Neurologist.
psychologist, but it doesn't sound healthy to me. It really doesn't. I mean,
Yeah.
we've been how many times in high EMF situations, and you
And
immediately feel
headaches. Smoky vision, like
Yeah.
halfly disorientated. So, and that's just somewhat. That's not even full blown
Yeah.
EMF. Okay, so the other question we have from Keith de Goede: how much years does everyone have in the field? You guys inspire me to investigate my own house because there's something here, but they won't speak to me. Experience, like active experience since 2013.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's about 5 years for me now. Half a decade.
Half a decade.
well, I mean, Phoenix is now what, 7 years old,
Yeah.
and we investigated I think 2 years with the previous group with that. So then it's like 9 years actively investigating. You longer, Sean.
No, it's from 2013.
2013.
Yeah,
So that's what, 11,
yeah.
8 years.
8 years.
8 years.
Genade.
Yeah.
Well, Keith, 8 years. And to answer your other question, please do not investigate your own house ever. Ignore whatever's there. You do not know what you're dealing with. So you can obviously communicate with something. You don't know the intentions of whatever you're communicating with. So it can open doorways and end very badly for you. So at this stage, just ignore. If you don't know how to handle it, contact us and we will try and point you in the right direction.
Yeah, but stick around, Keith. We're going to go into that if you're really interested in going into investigating. All right.
But not your house, though.
Not
your
the
house. Okay, next one.
I just want to mention with something like that, just to make it my sense. I mean, you guys experienced it as well. There is something in my house. I know for a fact there's something in my house, and multiple people have experienced it. I've experienced it, but it's almost like that saying, as soon as you see them, they see you. If you're going to entertain it and start engaging, then they're going to start engaging back more in
Absolutely.
different ways.
Absolutely.
So that's why, I mean, I've never investigated in my own place. I know you guys have it in yours as well, and I mean, it's just a thing of you don't want to open that door.
That door. And I think at this stage, like, even if the slightest thing is happening in someone's house, they are freaking out and they want to investigate it, where it's not always necessary. It's not, just ignore it, because there are stuff all around us going on every day, even at your work.
Yeah.
So Keith, no.
Yeah, don't investigate your house.
Because people, yeah, they do indulge and it just goes deeper, and
It becomes
next thing you are taking non-stop videos of orbs in your house every day.
Yeah, it becomes a mess.
Ja, ag
It's a real
nee.
mess.
Hou verby, Keith. Okay. Relien Jansen van Rensburg. Congratulations, thank you, Relien. What was the most active investigation that you guys did? And did any of you ever take any energy home with you after an investigation? Now, I think we've covered a lot of active investigations, so let's maybe talk about active places that we have not discussed before. Me personally, I think the old doctor's mansion surprised me with regards to the amount of evidence we've captured. A lot of EVPs. I get Arno, he saw something in the hallway that freaked him out. We had valid SP7 responses as well, I think the first in a long while. But yeah, Arno, did you have any active places that we have not mentioned before?
Not mentioned. I think we've mentioned so many places. We've mentioned almost all of the places. And I think the only places where I've really experienced something phenomenal was at the places we've mentioned before. So, I mean, that's...
Which places?
Which places?
Oh, Raadsel, that was an experience and a half. Sprinkle. The doctor's house, we haven't mentioned now. That's part of Sprinkle. Or on the property.
No, the doctor's mansion is the one in Brockbaan. Whereas the one he's referring to is actually part of Sprinkle. It's like another abandoned house on the
that
property.
house, yeah.
Oh, but
That
yeah,
one
you
is
see,
also
there's a
hectic.
place, there's actually talked about that before.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's property on the property of Sprinkel, where it used to be anyways. And it was the doctor's house. That's why I thought you guys were referencing that one. That's where the doctor stayed. And there I saw a little girl. And till today I think I'm going insane. Because I saw this little girl in white literally just look at me and just walk out of frame. But that was the most...
Like in a movie.
Yeah, flowing dress, everything. And I remember just after that, inexplicably, Yanni started to vomit. Like he didn't feel well.
I remember...
Like he didn't feel well.
I remember from that, if I have to literally like picture to someone is, imagine just a child in a white Sunday dress that you go to church with. I mean, that's what I saw. Unfortunately, I can't, it's been long, but I can't remember the details and all of that. But I will never forget the image of this little girl standing there. I think that was my first physical manifestation that I saw with my own eyes.
Yeah.
I'm unfortunately capturing it, but
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
day.
Yep.
But the other thing is also the whole of Sprinkle is so huge that the main building literally looks like Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Whereas that doctor's mansion is just a small old Victorian era house, very dilapidated. And I remember even we took Mark and his team with us from Ghost Hunters of Gauteng, and I remember he told us on 2 occasions that house felt for him extremely dark. Something also negative there. And yeah, with our last investigation, we went there on the Saturday, and on the Monday, sadly Mark passed away, and we called him along, to join us on the investigation because I know Sprinkle was his dream. So
And that was the
yeah,
last,
that was
last investigation. It's such a sad story.
Yeah, so I think Sprinkle will always hold something special to us. We all experienced stuff. Okay, and so her next question was, did any of us ever take any energy home with us? I think all of us did at one stage.
It happens. It does
And
happen.
yeah, you somehow get rid of it with a lot of faith and praying.
I think what happens is, usually we will investigate on a Saturday evening. You'll get home very late, like in Sunday morning around
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 o'clock. Then we don't fall asleep immediately.
No,
You just need some time to like unwind, and then that Monday is what we call a ghost hangover.
No, we call it ghost fever.
Ghost fever.
But the thing is, like I don't always say, because everybody wakes up on a Sunday and everyone's like, oh, I'm so fraught, man, I've got ghost fever. And like
No,
I would say,
Monday.
no, dude, you actually, because we all smoke, and you're like, no, each of us smoke like a packet, and your lungs are like fraught.
But I'm talking about the Monday.
And no,
when you
obviously
feel like-
actually the whole of the week. And yeah, most of us have got kids. You have to get up and do what you have to do. And then Monday, and from that whole week on, you start to feel it. And I don't know if it's a subjective thing, but yeah, I think we all definitely had at least one experience of taking some energy home with us.
Or several.
Mine was in Winkelhaak.
Yeah.
Because after
you took
that,
a lot home then.
weird stuff started happening in my house. Like my son was a baby at that time, and in his cot he had his teddy, and the teddy would move the whole night. And the teddy was like a cute teddy, but every time you look at the teddy, it's like angry looking. It was very weird. But yeah, yeah. So, but we got rid of that.
Yeah, the ghost fever you're talking about, I mean, yeah, we get that a lot, and like you say, that's the thing that I always feel. You forget the fact that, first of all, you're up till what time?
Yeah, and you up and down as well at an investigation.
You run literally up and down. A lot of these places have so much stairs. let's take the asylum we did. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like 5K hike in the investigation. You're like up and down and all over.
Yeah.
No wonder you're bloody tired the next day and the next Monday.
Yeah, because you have to drive home as well, which is usually takes you an hour.
You do get attachments, and for me, the thing that's different with ghost fever, you're just tired, and I mean it's physically exhausting. But with the attachment, I mean, I've had a couple of investigations where you just down, you just feel like this abnormal depression that you get a week or two after that. And I mean, our golden rule actually is, as soon as something like that happens, you don't go on investigations. You don't engage anymore up until you get that resolved.
Yeah.
Right, what's the next one?
No, that was it for
Is that
tonight.
it
yeah.
for tonight? Okay, guys, so please send us more questions. We love answering these questions. It brings a little diversity to our little show. All right, so I think let's chat about investigating, getting started in investigating.
Yay!
All right, so I think the first thing people always want to know is what kind of equipment do they need?
Like they ask us that a lot on our page. I always answer them, net your phone, just your phone. You've got your camera, your video that you're recording will capture anything, your audio, visual, anything that you need is on there. Don't worry about all these fancy, expensive equipment for now. Just focus on getting started with the basics. From there on, you work yourself up. Over to you, Meneer de Toy.
I'll try to keep this short and sweet, I promise. But what Sham said is true. This is all you need. It's got voice recorder, it's got video, and that's basically all you need. I mean, we're not back in the 1980s, 2000s, or whatever you want to call it, where that never existed. I mean, the closest you would come to a camera is this big old thing you would shoulder rig in.
Yeah, of our huge microphones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we look at audio recorders, it's digital audio recorders.
And they're expensive. They're really expensive.
Often is digital. That expensive. Look, if you've got a decent cell phone these days, you don't need any more.
Yeah.
The microphone in this is the same quality as what it's in a decent digital recorder. Yes, you can argue and say that this Panasonic all 360-degree voice recorder, yes, that will be better. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, if you look at what you see as evidence, I mean, for example, our evidence, we go with the classification. So you're not going to take a cough. A cough will throw away because you can't call that paranormal. But if I've got a voice to say, hi, I'm Casper, the friendly ghost, you're going to pick that up with your phone. You're going to pick that up on the most expensive digital recorder and on the cheapest digital recorder. So you don't need anything fancy. And these days, your video is good enough, so it uses the same audio, it uses the same camera. So if you just record via your phone, one solid piece of video recording, that's all you need. You've got your visual element and you've got your audio element. There's other toys, like you mentioned, like an EMF or a thermal camera or whatever the case may be. But I mean, that's advanced. That's when you get to, I don't want to say it almost, but our level. That's when you go into this hardcore. But I mean, if you just want to capture something paranormal where you experience anything, you don't need all this fancy equipment. You just need a proper video recorder. And I think, in my opinion, the only thing you really do need is logical thinking, is a brain.
Absolutely, that is the main thing. And also, I think voice recorders, so 2014. Because who's going to review that?
That's it. That's a very good question. Practicality. It's all about
practicality. Just who is going to review all? And I've been there years ago. I've reviewed countless hours of just audio, and man, that is boring.
Yeah, at least now with the phone,
With
you
video,
have the
you
video
can actually,
and the audio.
You can back it up as well visually to see, like, okay, but what may have caused that sound, and you can check the investigator's reaction or something. And yeah.
No, I think
that's the wonderful thing that you mentioned. Sorry, Wynand.
No, go for it.
Mentioned their reaction, because what I would normally do is I would go through the video. If I see or hear something that's weird, I'll mark it. And then I'll go back, and I'll even go as far, and this is what I've done before a couple of times, where I literally just close my eyes and listen just purely to the audio. If I just want to listen to the audio, I just listen to the audio, because I can imagine with video in that as well, it's going to take your focus off. But now again, you hear a noise. On the video, you captured someone shuffling, logical thinking, debunking the piece of evidence. Now you've got it on video and on audio, and you can debunk it, where in the past you couldn't really debunk it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you were saying, Wynand?
Yeah, and the other thing is if you want to confirm if you heard anything, if you hear a voice or anything, look at the audio band. If the audio band is flat and you're still hearing something, then that's something. But if you see little ripples, it could be that it's something else that sounds like something.
One thing I want to mention as well, seeing as we're talking about phones, guys, there's so many apps out there that asks you to pay money for. It's this ghost detector, or it's this fancy app.
The support strand, julle. Support strand.
Look, there are apps, I've seen apps, it's actually, I know I'm not promoting them, but you guys remember the group TAPS? Transatlantic Paranormal Society, they've got their TV show as well. I actually think it's still ongoing. They have an app out there, but it doesn't cost anything. And it's got just basically a digital recorder, everything basically you need. It just
Yeah, but it's basic. It's a basic thing which you can also find in your phone as well. Most of it.
Exactly.
Whereas these other stuff,
it's gonna tell you what the voice, what the ghost said, and Ovilus app and this app.
We will leave it at this. Guys, it is an app. It is for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, they don't really work.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've tested a bunch of them now over the years, and it just doesn't work. The thing is, you need to look for patterns when it comes to. You have to source out the patterns to make a coherent response. Whereas the apps, it's just random stuff popping up. It has no relation to each other. So that's kind of how you suss out that it doesn't work.
But I give it still a year or two, then this is going to replace absolutely EMF everything. Man. I'll send you the link. Just okay, this number.
I believe that. I believe that.
So I give it a couple of years,
and then we're there.
That your phone will replace absolutely every single device that you need.
Exactly.
We're going to put that on record, because I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Absolutely.
Okay, so next thing that comes, I think people struggle with when they want to start getting a group together is getting people involved. I think it's never a good idea to be a lone ranger when it comes to paranormal investigating, for two main reasons. First one, you don't want to be in an abandoned building, fall through the floor, get stuck there, and drop your phone and you can't call anyone. Who's going to help you?
Or get raped.
Yeah, or get, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's I think point number one when it comes to that.
Well, the obvious thing would be to obviously, and it's just here in South Africa, you obviously post in your local paranormal groups. People will contact you. Some of them legit, some crazy. Most of them crazy, but you're going to work through it and you're going to find your tribe. Just like we did.
Yeah. Yeah,
so there's no easy way. Just find your group, but do not go alone, because it is South Africa, and also with the spiritual aspect, sometimes you can be so badly affected that that person should know you well enough to see that something's not right and help you out of the building immediately.
That's very important, because it comes down to trust at the end of the day. I mean, we talked about this before. I need to trust Wynand that if he said, listen, and guys, I just saw this happen, then I need to trust him that really happened. You can't start to doubt your own teammates and say, yeah, but I don't think you really experienced that, or whatever the case may be. Because we're already dealing with something that's so unknown that, I mean, you can't have people that just jumps at the first occasion and believe whatever they see is paranormal.
Yeah. I think the other biggest question we also receive is, that they're so fascinated and they love the paranormal. Can they join us? Yes, on occasion we do take members from the public along, so please contact us. because we are always open for people to experience,
Yeah.
you know, these things. People that have a passion for this as well and are serious about this.
Yeah,
It's normally with the private locations where we don't take people with.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
private, people ask you, I mean, with the private cases, normally it's people that just need help and need answers. So that's something we don't want to open up for the public.
No,
It's so the only places
It's the
we
public
will take people with
investigations.
is a public investigation
Yeah.
that everyone knows about.
yeah. And then locations are important as well. It's very difficult in South Africa to find proper locations. The main thing is people are so focused on, you know, they're Googling haunted place in South Africa and they're coming across the same old Smith's House, Erasmus. None of those places are actually easily accessible.
Yeah, you can't. I think that the problem comes with locations. I think the market in Southern Africa hasn't opened up for the paranormal yet.
Yeah.
I would love that if venues would open their doors in silly hours of the night to have people come in and try and have a paranormal experience.
But
That's what they do in the States, though. I mean,
it's true. They need the funds, and
Yeah,
that's
you
what
know,
they do, and
that's-
it's working. But unfortunately, it's not the case here. So I think just to start off,
it's
focus
so
on the
hard.
history. That's
So
the
hard to
biggest
find
thing.
places.
It's very difficult, and stay away from Campton Hospital because it's
Too dangerous.
it's dangerous. It's dangerous there. I haven't heard the latest from it, but still, you know, on the physical side,
Yeah, physical.
floors are falling through.
Yeah, the
and
places are. It's a.
no,
it's broken.
It's a
Place is
mess.
completely broken.
Yeah. On that note, I just want to mention, and I know we said a while back we're going to go through to Campton, which we did want to do, but in the interim, what happened was we did a
Lockdown
whole
happened
session.
as well.
Lockdown happened, and we found out from reliable sources that the place is extremely dangerous, except for the fact that it's illegal, which comes back to the whole point of location. One thing that we're very proud of, we never went illegally to a location. I mean, we always get permission to go and all of that in case something happens.
Yeah.
But except for the fact that you can't legally get in there, the hazards, like you guys mentioned, the guys sleeping there in the evenings, or they go there to do drugs, or whatever the case may be. There's physical dangers, like the floor literally falling in under your feet. So, no.
We don't condone it,
Risk
but
is not-
Yeah, so I think that the important thing is with locations, when you're just starting out, I think it's very important to keep your ear on the ground. And if someone, let's
Yeah.
say you live in a small town, someone mentions something, then start with the private cases. That's where we started. The group did a lot of private cases until these bigger venues started opening up. It's very, very hard to get into a decent place.
but do persevere.
Persevere. It's not going to be easy in the beginning. I think that's where most groups sort of lose hope because they can't find a decent place to investigate. But you know,
Yeah.
the longer you're in it, these things will start to come. And and obviously, you know, just touch base with us if we're doing a cool venue. You know, we can get some investigators to tag along with us. The other thing about the locations is a lot of these historic and wonderful locations are in the middle of the CBD in Joburg and Pretoria.
Oh, that's
So
the worst.
it's you know like the JP school. You've got those tunnels under the post office.
Yeah.
You can't go there. A friend of Charmaine's actually told us once. There's this one building, like you can't walk on the sidewalk past this building because they pull you in, and then you're never heard from again.
Yeah, but like physical.
Yeah, that's
like.
it's seriously dangerous. So
Yeah.
if you do get an opportunity, I would just be practical about it. Don't take chances.
Yeah.
And don't trespass, like Anlu said.
That's your biggest ghost hunting no ever.
Yeah, because
is never ever trespass because it cannot end well
Yeah.
if you get caught.
that's the thing.
Never.
Yes.
What I wanted to say was, when it comes down to being investigative group as well, I think that for me personally, the biggest thing is your evidence. At the end of the day, if you just want a paranormal experience, that's one thing. But if you want to form a group and you want to be what you want, who you want to be, you need to make sure that your evidence is solid. I mean, you need to give something proper through. So a lot of these guys, a lot of people, I think, guys, be careful, because a lot of people just go and say, like, they hear a cough or they hear the slightest noise, and they take that as paranormal. That's why we talked about it earlier about your classes of evidence. You say class A is clear, like I'm talking to you now. It's a clear EVP or clear video phenomenon or whatever the case may be. Whereas you get now your lower grade of evidence where it's just like sounds. Be careful of sounds. Don't just go and say, okay, this is paranormal. Try to be logic. Try to disprove a lot of the cases and disprove a lot of the claims. And only what is left, then that you can say, okay, that is paranormal.
I think another thing you wanted to touch on just earlier is when you're going into investigate into places, how does one start? Where do you start when you're inside the venue and you're going, okay, where should I look now for paranormal activity? Like,
You don't look, you just go.
Charmaine mentioned that you take a little look at the history. That would sort of guide you into a direction. But yeah, just go for it. It'll take
Yeah,
you.
we just.
The building will
just
show
go
you,
for
kind
it.
of thing.
Yeah, and go with your instincts.
So I think the question we should start off with, I'm just going to ask you one personal question, quick one. What other interests do you guys have besides the paranormal? What else? What else is there that sort of tickles your fancy?
Bigfoot.
Okay, conspiracy. What do you call that?
I think for me there's two things. I love history and conspiracy theories and all of that, but my main passion and hobby is droning.
Droning. Yeah, nice one. Sean?
I love cooking and drinking wine.
And sometimes he puts the wine in the food. Alright, for me,
And I love music.
yeah, likes music. Yeah, I like watching movies. I like reading history stuff. And football, man. I love football.
What about security? You're into the whole security element. I'm not necessarily like in security heining fence in the other slide, but you're more into like yard prediction and all of that, or not?
Yeah, I used to work in that industry. I did work in that industry for a while. But it's it's inappropriate when you're in a corporate job and you're wearing a knife. It's just not.
Wynand always has his knife with him in investigations. Let's just tell that to people. He's always ready to cut his books here.
Hey, look.
Make sure it's full.
Look, it's better.
There's no ghost, make one.
It's better to have a knife and not need it than needing one and not having it. So that's my whole philosophy there. Alright guys, thanks very much for joining us tonight. We wish you well, and
Arno, it's been swell. It's been real swell.
Definitely guys, thank you very much for watching this week. And we'll see you next week on the Weekly Phoenix.
The Weekly Phoenix.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.